The desire for retirement is a strong one. For most persons, it represents the first and possibly the only period in their adult lives where they can travel, reconnect with long-lost friends, and engage in their most cherished hobbies. Life prior to the advent of the Industrial Revolution was, as Thomas Hobbes put it, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, characterized by back-breaking labor, tasteless, repetitive meals, and a near-constant race against starvation. Retirement is a relatively new concept in the overall history of human beings. Before the Industrial Revolution, people literally worked until they dropped. If a person's physical condition resulted in the inability to work, quality medical care wasn't available to keep them alive for very long in their dilapidated state of retirement. For most persons, the idea of retiring would have been both foreign and untouchable. With the signing of the Family Law Act of 1969, California adopted no-fault divorce. The rest of the modern world followed quickly suit. No-fault divorce, combined with its well-known sidekick, alimony, quickly ensured that filing for a divorce became a de facto retirement plan for women. They became legally enabled financial predators. Unfortunately, unmarried women simply couldn't get in on the act of financially looting the protector-provider husband. Hence, the desire to marry stayed consistently high, even as women were given the license to unilaterally end their current unions. However, as more and more men woke up to the possibility of indentured servitude that would likely arise after they had divorce proceedings served upon them, men simply did the only sane thing, and that is they refused to don the yoke of unyielding sacrifice and drudgery inherent in marriage. It is worth noting that from the point of view of the financial predator, marriage has a number of disadvantages. Specifically, firstly, it necessitates the seduction and acquisition of a suitable male target. Secondly, the couple undergo a courtship period, often sustained, sometimes elaborate, during which the female may find her target ultimately unsuitable for marriage or vice versa. This time wastage represents a very real problem for our woman, who has, of course, a limited window of peak fertility. Thirdly, marriage represents a sizable opportunity cost for her. The man with solid prospects may not fulfill the potential she's hoped for, or the moneyed man may suffer a financial setback. Fourthly, marriage prevents forum shopping. Forum shopping is a term used by attorneys to describe the practice adopted by some litigants where they want to have their legal case heard in the court that is most likely to provide a favorable judgment. An example of this might be a woman, A, that we call Jane. Jane is married in Texas, and as a result, she's stuck with Texas law and the $20,000 a year in child support for a single child. Her counterpart, Sally, isn't married and has a superb understanding of the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act, or at least her lawyer does, meaning that Sally may be able to sue a Texas defendant under California, Massachusetts, New York, or Wisconsin law, and as a result collect millions of dollars in child support. You see, the desire for a lifetime of leisure to be a kept woman is still there, as an ever-present yearning for most women. The ability to retire in her late 20s or early 30s. As such, the human female, ever adaptable to the increasing difficulties of persuading men to part with upwards of 50% of their net worth and future income upon divorce, well, she has adapted. As a result, we're now seeing the rise of for-profit pregnancy and abortion sales. Quite simply, women who want to make money from the current system aren't getting married anymore. You see, from the point of view of the financial predator, It's a lot easier to dupe a rich guy for one night, especially if he's had a few drinks, than it is to get a rich guy to agree to marry. You see, for a woman who wants 2 children and an early retirement policy, starting from the age of 28 as a result of having 2 children, if her dupery is planned properly, she can quite easily net a tax-free cash yield of $200,000 a year per child in child support. Now, multiply this by 23 years in states such as Massachusetts, and considering that the USDA estimates that it costs about $9,000 to raise a child each year, the payoffs are enormous. In most states in the USA, the potential child support profits from a one-night stand are actually now roughly the same as the profits from a short-term marriage to a rich man. In many of the jurisdictions where child support is substantially more than the $9,000 per year that the USDA estimates as the actual cost of caring for a child, we learn about the practice of pregnant women actually selling abortions. A blog by Real World Divorce documents a number of real-life cases where women, upon getting pregnant, simply move to Massachusetts and then sell the abortion to the man who's expected to pay child support. And I'm just going to read from the website here. The author states, due to the 40,144 number at the top of the guidelines, the 23 years over which child support is payable, and the convention whereby a defendant must pay the plaintiff's legal fees, Massachusetts is one of the most lucrative states for the marketing of abortions. In our interviews, we learned about a 40-year-old entrepreneur who was dating a seemingly carefree 25-year-old. 2 months later, the young woman presented the man with a positive pregnancy test result. A Microsoft Excel spreadsheet showing the $923,312, that's just under $1 million, in child support he would owe over 23 years, plus a likely $300,000 college budget and additional amounts for healthcare, insurance, daycare. Well, her attorney offered to sell her abortion for $250,000 plus legal fees and the cost of the abortion itself. Being quite a sane man, well, he paid the $250,000, which was tax-free to the woman. Could that have been considered extortion? Well, it is not extortion nor illegal to threaten to have a baby, responded Harvard Law School professor Jenny Suck, when asked to consider the facts of this incident. Asked to comment on the prevalence of abortion transactions in Massachusetts, another attorney said, "This is a good state in which to work your mind and education, but it is a great state in which to work your body and child." You see, the financial predator is better off spending her 18 to 22-year-old years having sex with either married or successful men rather than attending college. So my advice is rather simple. If you happen to live in the United States of America, don't have sex with a woman unless you have a vasectomy. Thank you very, very much. This is C.S. McDowell.